Hi, very good afternoon, everyone. I'm Sabyasachi Bharti, and now uh, you have joined us in a special conversation with three wonderful filmmaker with us. Uh, Before I introduce you to these beautiful ladies, wonderful filmmakers, let me tell you again that till from 11 till 23rd you can watch the wonderful films under the 11th CMS Vatavaran Film Festival and Forum on the India Science OTT channel. You can either go directly to their website, or you can join us through CMS Vatavaran website. It is www.cmsvatavaran.com, cmsvatavaran.org, and then you can watch 89 beautiful documentaries and short films there talking about various environment and wildlife and climate change issues. As you know that every day we are having a very interesting conversation with these enlightened filmmakers who are making these films you know which are really thought provoking. And today we are going to talk to three wonderful filmmakers: Miss Vanita Khanna, uh, and co-director and producer and the script writer of the film, Dr. Romila Verma, and the assistant director and the producer, Miss Prabjot Kainth. Uh, Miss Vanita Khanna is a creative and a performance-driven filmmaker. Her directorial debut, The Water Be Damned, which you can see on the India Science OTT channel till 23rd of April, reflects deep passion for her film making and the knowledge of all stage of filmmaking process. She is committed environmentalist who believes in the healing power of nature. With more than 5 years of movie making experience, Ms. Khanna is ready to share more amazing story with the world. We are also having co-director and producer and script writer Dr. Romila Verma. She is joining us from Canada, and she is an innovative teacher, researcher, speaker, and documentary filmmaker. Dr. Verma lectured on water and environmental issues in the School of Environment and Department of Geography at the University of Toronto. She's a and her documentary "Water Be Damned" narrates a compelling journey of River Satluj in Punjab, and by tracing the story of challenges, hopes, and aspirations of water. Uh, uh, and we are also be joining Miss Assistant Director and Producer of the film, Mrs. Prabjot Kainth. She is a documentary filmmaker, researcher, environmental and human rights activist. She is founder of the Planet One Foundation, which is also the producer of the film, with a mission to build environmentally re- resilient communities across the globe. She has been running health camp in India to combat the impact of contaminated water on human health. So, on behalf of CMS Vatavaran, 11 CMS Vatavaran Environmental Film Festival and Forum, let me welcome you all. Welcome, Dr. Romila Verma. Hello, Vinita.
Hello.
Uh,
Thank you.
hi, Per. How are you?
Hello.
Hi. So, Prabhu, you are also joining us from where? Canada, or you are in India?
Canada.
Okay, so very interesting. It's all women crew talking about saving Mother Earth by talking about water. Uh, so before I start talking about the film, let me again request all our viewers that you can watch this wonderful documentary "Water Be Damned" on India Science Society channel, free of cost till 23rd of April. So, so let us start with Dr. Romila first. Uh, Romila, why this documentary film? Why you thought of coming up with the film? You are in Canada. The subject is in India, uh, and it must be very difficult, to think of sitting there and then to come up with the team and the producer and all these necessary things which requires for making a documentary. So why?
First of all, thank you, Sabyasachi, for giving us this honor for selecting our documentary for this platform. Thank you, CMS Vatavaran. And we are just so humbled to be among such amazing group of movie makers. So, I really honestly want to thank everybody to offer us this platform. And to your question, why? It's pretty simple and straightforward. I grew up in India. I came to Canada, but my heart, my soul, my attachment to India is still very much there, like it was before. So, first thing I would say that I got connected to Prab Kainth, who is one of the producers and assistant directors of this documentary, and she was already engaged in Punjab and making some very amazing documentaries, and she can talk about it herself. So, as I got connected to Prab, she inspired me to look at water situation in Punjab, and that was, I think, an opening for us to connect with Vanita, who is, as you've mentioned, an amazing director, and this was her debut as a director. Water Be Damned. So we somehow the energies, the universe worked together, and we all got together, and what came out of it was a wonderful collaboration, and we had some amazing time, fun times traveling in Punjab. We had some issues that we thought that we won't be able to proceed with the funding matters and things like that. And we were here after filming into 2019. We came back to Canada. Prab and I came back, and then pandemic happened. And we have some very interesting stories to share
Hmm.
later on why and how this whole process happened with, we are far apart, everything is closed, and we still managed to premiere this documentary in 2020 in the middle of the pandemic. So it is a testimonial towards these two amazing ladies that I had the honor of knowing. So that's how the whole documentary unfolded. And also, I would like to mention that this documentary would not have been possible without the support of our family and friends who basically funded this project. Thank you for that question.
Yeah. So, Prabjot, when Romila came to you and she talked about this project, uh, that time, like you were already working on the topic. Am I correct?
Actually, this whole project, this concept started, I would say, 7 years ago,
Wow.
when I first went to India.
Mhm.
After hearing that there is a cancer train that runs from one side to the other,
Yes.
there are people dying of cancer. So
Yes.
that kind of stuck me. Why? I mean, why is there so much happening, but then there is nothing in the media? Or so that's when I actually went to my professor, Dr. Jose, and then he introduced me to Dr. Romila Verma, and that's when we connected. So we shot our first documentary when we went there.
Mhm.
And that's how the whole water be damned process started. So it's not just like a year long, it's a 7 year long journey. um, then we went to different sites of Punjab, why there is a water issue, why people are suffering. We did an intensive study. Then second time when we went, we actually collected water samples. The third time we went, we actually shot another documentary. So it's like a process by process, and then we thought to track the source water, because a colleague of ours, who is also a water expert here in Oakville, wanted to know if the contamination is from the source water. So the journey of water be damned, we wanted to track the source water, if the source water can be protected, or if there is any governmental issues, or what's happening. So that's how the journey of water be damned started. And then pandemic hit, so we wanted to incorporate that into our story as well, that water is such a sacred resource that we have. We often talk about water, and we often talk about culture, spirituality, but somewhere there's a disconnect, and which is why there is a water crisis, water shortages across the globe. So that's how this beautiful product of ours came. Water be done, because if we don't have water, we don't have the most precious resource on earth, then we are actually
Certainly.
done. Yeah.
Yeah. So now the question is how both of you sitting in Canada you found Vinita and then you decided ki Vinita will make this documentary.
So actually, I did a project with her back in 2018, and that's when I introduced her to Dr. Verma when we went in 2019. That we have an upcoming project, and we wanted to be a women centric. So yeah, that's when Vanita came in the picture.
Okay, so before I go to Vanita and ask about the project and the film, let me play a small clip, a 1 or 2 minute clip from the film. What will be that?
First thing is that we are so disconnected from the spirituality and philosophy, the ethical aspect of water, which is actually quite a paradox. The way we treat water, we not only disregard it, I feel that sometimes we don't even see water. It's kind of an invisible thing. We take it for granted. This disconnect is actually very disheartening because unless we see water as a living entity, unless we see water as a spiritual connector, we are not going to solve the problem of water.
The water issues we are facing today are because of our failure to consider the complexity of the water system. If we want to establish a sustainable water system, it needs to stand on 4 firm pillars. Understanding the foundations of each pillar will also offer solutions to the water crisis. These 4 pillars need to come together and unite to support the water tank we build on top.
Yeah. Uh, so I must say that the film is not merely talking about water in a very literal sense, but also it has such a beautiful thought, a philosophical thought, and I can even say that a spiritual thought, a philosophical spiritual thought, because I think you all maybe you will agree with me because that river is the source of all the creations for us, our society. From if we talk about the Indian society, Indian culture, the Vedic era, it flourishes in the on the banks of river Saraswati. So yes, river is the vital part of our existence. So yeah, we will talk about these really serious issues and these 4 pillars which you talk. But before going back to Romila and Prabjot, I will like to ask Vanita ki Vanita ये कैसे हुआ, like how they approached us and what and then what was your reaction and how you thought of going with the film documentary, because the documentary film सबसे पहले डायरेक्टर अपने दिमाग में बनाता है. So how was the first thought?
First of all, I would like to thank CMS Vatavaran for nominating our documentary. Obviously, it's a huge opportunity for all of us. Thank you so much, Sabya Sachi ji. So, जैसे as Prab said, हम पहले एक project कर चुके हैं. तो before I met Prab, I really didn't know about the water issues and problems of Punjab. I was not aware. But जब हमने वो पहला project किया, तो I realized that there is a big issue in Punjab. So हम लोगों से मिले, हम लोगों ने देखा the people are suffering from diseases due to water problems. So I was like, the future of Punjab is in the dark. Then I realized we have to do something. After that, Dr. Romila and Prab decided to make one documentary, that obviously water we damned. So हमने obviously जैसे आपने बोला कि एक डायरेक्टर को पहले जो इशू है, जो जो सब्जेक्ट है, उसमें खुद उस पे रिसर्च करनी पड़ती है. डॉक्टर उर्मिला और प्रभजोत ने ऑलरेडी इतने सालों से वो कर रहे हैं वाटर पे रिसर्च, वाटर प्रॉब्लम्स पे. तो मुझे डॉक्यूमेंट्री बनाने से पहले खुद को पढ़ना पड़ा थोड़ा कि जिस टॉपिक पे मैं बना रही हूँ मुझे उसके बारे में पता होना चाहिए. और आई हैव मेट सेवरल पीपल. सो उसके बाद जो वो जर्नी थी हमारी, हमने सतलुज रिवर को ट्रैक किया, हमने डिफरेंस देखा पंजाब और हिमाचल के पानी का। जैसे ही हम पंजाब में एंटर होते हैं तो एकदम से देर वाज अ पॉइंट, डू यू रिमेम्बर प्रभजोत, देर वाज अ पॉइंट, वन पॉइंट जहां पे कैनाल में पानी एकदम से चेंज हो गया। डैम था, यहाँ पानी बहुत अच्छा है, और नेक्स्ट जहां पंजाब एंटर होता है पानी बिल्कुल प्ल्यूटेड वाटर था। तो पंजाब में इश्यूज बहुत हैं पानी के। एंड सेकेंड थिंग कि अगर हम पॉजिटिविटी की तरफ देखें तो पंजाब में काम भी बहुत हो रहा है पानी को साफ करने के लिए या सेव करने के लिए। काफी एनजीओ और ऑर्गेनाइजेशन और इन्वायरमेंटलिस्ट कर रहे हैं काम पंजाब के पानी के लिए। मतलब अभी हमें एक होप दिख रही है। सो ये दिस वाज द जर्नी, और बाकी डॉक्टर उर्मिला विल से।
सो मैं उनसे बात करूंगा। विनीता, आपसे मेरा सवाल ये है कि जब ये पूरा कॉन्सेप्ट आया आपके पास और रोमिला और प्रभजोत ने आपसे बात की और डिस्कशंस चले होंगे, तो जो प्रपोजल आपके पास आया मीन्स उस पॉइंट पे जिस पे आपने इसको एक्सेप्ट किया और उस पॉइंट पे जहां आपने शूटिंग स्टार्ट की, उसके बीच कितना समय था? क्या आपने प्री प्रोडक्शन में आपने कहा कि रिसर्च ये दोनों पहले से काफ़ी कर चुकी थी इन दोनों इस सब्जेक्ट पे। उसके बाद भी जैसा आपने कहा और जैसा हम सब समझते हैं कि एक डायरेक्टर को अपने सब्जेक्ट की पूरी जानकारी होनी चाहिए, अदरवाइज वो ही और सी कैन नॉट डू द जस्टिस विद द सब्जेक्ट। तो
राइट।
आपने अपनी क्षमता कैसे बढ़ाई? अच्छा ये बताइए कि उस समय आप क्या कर रही थी जब आप आपके पास ये प्रोजेक्ट आया? तो व्हाट यू वर डूइंग? यू वर स्टडिंग और वर्किंग? व्हाट यू वर
नो,
डूइंग?
actually before this documentary and one another documentary, I was working as assistant director in some Punjabi films and Hindi films.
जी
So I was making some short films during that time. तो
जी जी।
मेरे लिए डॉक्यूमेंट्री बनाना एक चैलेंज था, क्योंकि मेरी लाइन थी फिल्म मेकिंग की, लेकिन
मैं
सीरियस
वही
इश्यूज पे नहीं थी। राइट।
मैं वही कहने वाला था कि बल्ले बल्ले से इतनी सीरियस इश्यू पे सडनली बहुत ड्रास्टिक चेंज है ये ना, बिल्कुल एक
या
सपनों की दुनिया से एक बिल्कुल रियलिटी में आना। सो हाउ व्हाई यू
एग्जैक्टली,
डिसाइडेड दैट?
because see, I have a daughter, she's 4.5, right? She's future of Punjab. तो I felt like कि अगर पानी की जो प्रॉब्लम्स हैं, दिक्कतें हैं पंजाब में, अगर ये बढ़ती रहेंगी तो शी इज इन द डार्क, राइट? तो एटलीस्ट आई हैव टू डू समथिंग फॉर हर, फॉर द फ्यूचर ऑफ पंजाब। मैं कुछ अपनी क्रिएटिविटी से अगर कुछ दे सकती हूँ सोसाइटी को, तो व्हाई नॉट? तो दैट देन आई डिसाइडेड कि लेट्स डू दिस प्रोजेक्ट। तो ऐसे किया। एंड अभी आई एम वेरी अवेयर कि वाटर प्रॉब्लम्स बहुत है। एंड मी एंड माय हस्बैंड वी ऑलवेज ट्राई टू सेव वाटर इन आवर होम। इवन हम लोग पानी बिल्कुल वेस्ट नहीं करते हैं, और अवेयरनेस आ गई है हमें एक
जी जी।
समहाउ।
तो हाँ, तो मेरा ये दूसरा सवाल आपसे ये था कि जब ये प्रोजेक्ट आपके पास आया और जब आप इसको ग्राउंड पे लेगी, यू स्टार्टेड शूटिंग, वो कित उसके बीच कितना दरमियान था? उस दरमियान में आपने क्या किया? आपने क्या तैयारी की?
जैसे मैंने पानी के बारे में पढ़, जैसे एक फिल्म मेकर होता है, राइट? मैंने पहले भी बताया कि उसको पढ़ना पड़ता है अपने सब्जेक्ट के बारे में। और मैंने और डॉक्यूमेंट्रीज देखी, मैंने काफी बीबीसी पे या मैंने डिस्कवरी पे डॉक्यूमेंट्रीज देखी कि एक डॉक्यूमेंट्री फिल्म मेकर कैसे काम करता है। मैंने उसकी डेप्थ को जाना कि अगर मैं डॉक्यूमेंट्री करूंगी तो मैं कैसे काम करूंगी, क्या शॉट्स होंगे। मैंने बिसाइड फ्रॉम वाटर प्रॉब्लम्स, मैंने फिल्म मेकिंग, डॉक्यूमेंट्री फिल्म मेकिंग के बारे में रिसर्च शुरू की। मैंने पढ़ना शुरू किया कि कैसे शॉट्स चाहिए, अगर कोई इशू दिखाना है तो हमें उसमें कैसे शॉर्ट डिविजनिंग करनी है, हमें एक स्टोरी लाइन क्रिएट करनी है। तो मेरा मोटिव ये था कि जो मैं दिखाना, जैसे डॉक्टर मिला ने 4 पिलर्स की स्क्रिप्ट लिखी है, अगर वो दिखाना चाहते हैं तो उसमें मैं अपने शॉर्ट्स के या अपने सीन डिवीजन के अकॉर्डिंग क्या कैसे दिखा सकती हूँ चीज को कि लोगों तक वो पहुंचे। क्योंकि हमारा जो मोटिव था कि एक ले मैन भी उस डॉक्यूमेंट्री को समझ पाए।
So, Dr. Romila, now coming back to you. So, you and Prabjot, between you, you said, Prabjot said already that it was a 7-year process. It's not a one-day process. Uh, So when both of you decided to, make this documentary on this very issue, and then you found Vinita, and then you said that okay, you both were agree कि Vinita can direct or will direct this documentary. Then how was this whole making process? Was that it very easy, or was it difficult, or there were uh, more and more research going on? And how was the total duration in which the thinking of the documentary and uh, coming as a final product? What was that duration? What kind of duration was that? The period of time. You kindly unmute yourself.
Myself.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
Please.
So I would say, just I was just listening to Vanita, and she's being very humble about it. But she had this strong vision. So I do not know Punjab as well as Prab and Vanita. So they were my ears and eyes in Punjab, and so we gave Vanita a very loose script about four pillars. So she was very instrumental in looking for locations. Prab and Vanita, they decided, okay, these are the good locations. And then Vanita then also brought in drone footage for the documentary. So her vision was basically looking at the visuals and
Mm-hmm.
trying to connect it with the script. And as I said, script was a slightly loose guidelines that we had. So another thing that we had done within a span of 1 year, I would say that would be our time range from the time we started shooting. So that was the pre-production was for me it was a work in progress because my research is on water sustainability. And then when I met Prab, we started kind of talking about the process and post production. Maybe for a few months, we took 2 to 3 months to do the editing. And here I would also like to give a big shout out to the very strong cinematographer, Mr. Singh, our editor, and Mr. Atwal. Both of them just were amazing, and their editing and cinematography was absolutely exceptional. So these little bits and pieces, they all come together, right, to create a movie. And any filmmaker can attest to the fact that it is a challenging process. It's never very simple, and especially independent filmmakers who do not have access to funding. It's mostly a passion project for all of us, right? So all these things taking into account, I would say the whole process took us year and a half, from pre-production to post-production and releasing the documentary. And especially during the pandemic, we were right here, and our narrator, Megan White, she is one of the founder for Water Speaks. So we asked her, can you narrate the documentary? And she was more than happy. Nobody was paid for that. And so
Wow.
we were sitting right here in this very table, and Vanita, being the taskmaster that she is, she wasn't satisfied with any of the dubbing that we were doing. She kept on saying, it's not good enough, it's not good enough. So I still remember, and poor Megan, her she lost her voice because she was constantly trying to better herself, and Vanita wasn't satisfied. And I'm so glad that Vanita expected the best from this documentary. So finally, we downloaded an app in our iPhones, and somehow we went through the process. And so this was all done just long distance, right? So
And 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 what Prabjot was doing all these times, Vinita.
she was
Sorry.
managing, as a producer, fantastic producer. She was the glue that held us together.
Yeah,
That's what Prab
I
was
thought so.
doing. That she was scouting for places that we should, because I did not know about Chakkar village that it was Prab's idea, right? So we were kind of, so we used to have all these brainstorming sessions. Okay, we need to put something positive. We cannot just show, oh, everything is doom and gloom. We are always trying to bring in ideas, and we would have some really amazing discussions. And Prab was instrumental in providing that focus. Okay, here is the example. She knew Punjab inside out. Without her,
Yes.
this project wouldn't be even on the horizon. So
So
she was the glue
Prabjot is like a glue or a rope which was tying everything,
together.
Yes.
together. Wow.
Yes.
So Prabjot, what do you do exactly? Like as a
Um,
what profession? What's your profession?
So actually, I am a researcher, environmentalist, um, but along with that, I am also a communicator. So I work as a senior communication advisor, um, and yeah, so this is what I do. Um, but going back to Punjab, doing a research is my passion, and I think the biggest challenge we had was the funding. And I still remember how we were just, and I do wanted to give a huge shout out to each and every individual who contributed, be it the Oakville Art Studio, where we had screened our second documentary to raise funds, and Dr. Rana, who've been an amazing help, um, and our colleague Steve. So um, this whole project wouldn't have been possible without their help. So yeah, we had challenges, and we did amazing work overcoming these challenges.
Yeah. Prabhupada, you are also the founder of this Planet One Foundation. So,
Yes.
what is this foundation? What does foundation do? Like, what are
So
the?
Planet One Foundation started in 2014, and in 2015 is when I met Dr. Verma. So the goal was to create environmental communities, not just here in Canada or Toronto, where I live, but across the globe. And I did my studies in environmental management. Environmental is my passion. It's like I did my schooling from here, and doing creek cleanups, tree planting is something that motivated me to do more. Um, and yeah, I just wanted to see a very resilient planet that is free of all the diseases, free of and there is a prosperity all across the globe. So that is something I have been doing. And Dr. Verma motivated me every year, that we know that there is an issue and we can fix it. So the four pillars is her strong vision, I think, that can pretty much solve um, the water crisis across the globe. And spirituality is one that kind of I got connected with, because we often talk about, in Punjabi too, Pavan Guru, Pani Pita. I mean, we talk about, we do take care water as our mother, we do take care water as a sacred resource, but then why are we polluting? So yeah, it's a very interesting journey. It's a very interesting, I would say, the whole thought process was just very very
Yeah,
interesting. And I think
yeah,
Dr. Mila is the glue that kind of that combined this whole thing together. So yeah.
yeah. So, I have one question which is open for all three of you. Like, when you thought of making a documentary on the water pollution which is happening in the river in Punjab, it should have been very technical film also, where you are talking about the datas, then the jargons, the facts, all these hard facts. But why you decided to make it I can say environmental conscious documentary, where the consciousness, the spirituality, the consciousness, uh, it talks in a very philosophical style. So whose idea was it, and why you have decided, why not simple waterkey film, we're talking about numbers, facts, figures, rather than talking in a very sophisticated spiritual way? Why?
So, who wants to take that?
um
I think
I
you should go. Okay.
Um,
Yeah. Go
I
ahead,
think
Prab.
the data that we had collected over the years was just too strong for a common person to understand what's happening in Punjab. We, like I said, we had collected water samples. We did door-to-door surveys, but then these were not enough for a common layman to understand what's actually happening and what is the reason behind it. Um, and with Dr. Milla's four-pillar vision, I think she can better explain these four pillars. I think we wanted really people to understand that there are solutions. So we just can't be talking about water crisis. People are dying of various forms of cancers or other water problem. There are solution to these things, and we can fix it. It might not be a quick fix, but we can certainly fix that. So that's when we thought to give that a little twist. And yeah, that twist came from Dr. Verma, because she's the solution provider. She always believes in providing a solution rather than just talking
Yes.
about the problems, which I actually suggested to just include the problems so that people are aware. But then it was her idea to include a solution as well.
Okay. So, Romila, I'm really very much impressed with this four pillar concept, and I will ask everyone to watch it to understand what we are talking here. So, how this very unique four pillar concept, you know, how you thought of it and how you developed it, and what is it in a in a crisp
Okay.
way, if you can tell us.
Yes. Sabyasachi, I would say uh, all these pillars, all these ideas and concept already exist. I just pulled it all together. It's so in that way, it wasn't really unique. I just kind of through my research, because I'm in the water field, I teach about water, I research about water. All these concepts are already existing. So, what I was thinking from a systems design perspective and from regenerative sustainability perspective. So, what are when in 1980s when we started talking about sustainability through when Brundtland Commission defined sustainability as something for to look forward to for future generation, to keep the resources for future generation. So we have come a long way from that. So through regenerative sustainability, what we are trying to do is not just thinking about, oh, save some for the future generation, but regeneration means you have to think about to making the resources of the world a better place, to leave it in a better condition. So what it means that the solutions are end to end, is everything we use has to be recycled, and that's how our nature works. So looking at the natural philosophy of the of how Mother Earth works, it's very simple, and we all are connected to nature in some very profound way. Ask anybody, and especially towards water or trees or animals, right? So how can we harness that power of our connectivity to nature? So that's where the first pillar, the spiritual, the philosophy, the cultural aspect. In a very legal and a policy term, we don't think about that. We do not include that into our policy system. We are very narrow in our vision, very supply side management. It's all about supply and demand, the economics, the finance, right? So that is a very strong pillar. The third pillar, science technology, the second pillar is also semi strong. And the fourth pillar, management and governance, is not as strong if you look around the world. So if you're trying to put a tank on top of these very uneven pillars, a water tank is going to collapse. So that was a very simple, straightforward thinking about creating these strong four pillars on which you can establish this water tank for future generations. So our goal was to harness the strength and power of spiritual connection we all have towards nature. And somehow we have moved away from that. And as you mentioned, Sabyasachi, it is our connectivity, how we see our river systems and water system, the civilization around Saraswati River, right? So why did we abandon that thinking and we became very supply side management approach, where you just take water and commodify
Yeah.
it,
Yes.
commercialize it, and forget
Yes.
about it.
Water was never a commodity for us, but nowadays in the changing world it's become a commodity, and that's why we are seeing all these water related issues. When you make it a product which is freely available, given to you by nature, then the whole problem comes. uh, विनीता, ये फिल्म तो अब बन गई, और नाउ आपने जहां जहां आपने जहां भी इसको दिखाया या लोगों से जो कमेंट मिला, अ, ये कैसे, लाइक लोग इसको कैसे ले रहे हैं? मैं आपको सही बताऊं कि एज ए, मैं तो आई एम नॉट सिटिंग इन कनाडा, आई एम इन इंडिया, आई एम इन दिल्ली, बट मुझे मुझे पंजाब की प्रॉब्लम्स तो मालूम थी कि वहाँ पेस्टिसाइड की प्रॉब्लम है और कुछ है, बट वाटर का जो ये जो पहलू, ये जो फिल्म दिखाता है, द थिंग विच दिस फिल्म इज टॉकिंग, it was an eye opener for, not for us, for all the jury members who were watching this film, because ये aspect हम लोगों को नहीं मालूम था। पंजाब में वाटर की भी प्रॉब्लम हो सकती है, हम तो सोच भी नहीं सकते। सो आपको किस तरह के रिएक्शंस मिलते हैं जब लोग आपकी ये फिल्म देखते हैं?
सब्यसाची जी, पहले तो अभी जो अब आज का टाइम है, अभी का टाइम है, लोग समहाउ अवेयर हो रहे हैं, मतलब द वर्क इन प्रोग्रेस वी कैन से, राइट। तो बहुत कम लोग हैं जो अवेयर, जिनमें अवेयरनेस नहीं है कि पंजाब का पानी की सिचुएशन क्या है। और अगर हम पंजाब के पानी की बात करें, पहले कम होने का कारण क्या है, ये है जो पेडी कल्चर है हमारे यहाँ का, जो राइस की खेती है, ठीक है, उसकी वजह से पानी का लेवल है बहुत डाउन चला गया है, रिवायती खेती जिसे बोलते हैं हम। लेकिन अब के टाइम में अभी एग्रीकल्चर जो से रिलेटेड जो लोग हैं, किसान है, वो कहीं ना कहीं अवेयर हो रहे हैं और वो रिवायती खेती को छोड़ के अब डिफरेंट फार्मिंग ट्राई कर रहे हैं। तो इससे क्या होगा, कहीं ना कहीं पानी का जो लेवल है, अगर वो नेचुरल दूसरी खेती करेंगे तो पानी सेव होगा, क्योंकि बहुत सारा जैसे कि हम सबको पता है कि राइस की खेती में पानी बहुत ज्यादा वेस्ट होता है, राइट। तो अभी ये लोग कहीं ना कहीं अवेयर हो रहे हैं और वो दूसरी फार्मिंग में कन्वर्ट हो रहे हैं। सेकेंड थिंग, अभी गवर्नमेंट के रूल्स भी थोड़े हो गए हैं कि जैसे हम अगर बात करें कॉलोनीज की, यहाँ पर अपार्टमेंट्स की, तो यहाँ पे अनाउंसमेंट्स होने लग गई हैं कि आप प्लीज पानी को वेस्ट मत कीजिए। जैसे क्या होता है, पाइप उठाते हैं और कार धोने लग गए, प्लांट्स को पानी देने लग गए, वेस्टेज ऑफ वाटर। तो
हाँ,
यहाँ पे
बिल्कुल।
अनाउंसमेंट्स होने, राइट, यहाँ पे अनाउंसमेंट्स होने लगी हैं, अगर आप वेस्ट करोगे पानी को और किसी ने आपकी कंप्लेंट कर दी, तो यू हैव टू फाइन, यू हैव टू पे अ फाइन। तो उन्होंने एक अमाउंट फिक्स कर दी है कि 2000 और 1000 यू हैव टू पे अ फाइन। तो मे बी इसकी वजह से, इस डर की वजह से लोग पानी को वेस्ट कम करना शुरू कर दें। और अभी मुझे लगता है जो गवर्नमेंट की और आगे पॉलिसीज होनी चाहिए पानी को लेकर, वो स्कूल से बच्चों को जो ये जनरेशन है इसको सिखाना शुरू करे कि पानी को वेस्ट मत करो, राइट। और जब हम अपनी फिल्म किसी को दिखाते हैं तो कहीं ना कहीं हमारा ये मोटिव था जब हम फिल्म बना रहे थे कि एटलीस्ट जो एक लेमैन है, जो आम आदमी है, वो क्योंकि देखो जो किताबी बातें हैं, रिसर्च है, एक आम आदमी को नहीं समझ आती। अगर आप उसको
बिल्कुल
डेटा
सही।
दोगे, आप उसको कुछ दोगे, उसको नहीं समझ आएगा, उसको दिखाना पड़ेगा कि ये चीज
यस।
है आपके साथ, उसको एग्जाम्पल सेट करनी पड़ेगी। तो
बिल्कुल,
हमारा
बिल्कुल।
मोटिव है, अगर 100 में से 5 लोग भी समझ पा रहे हो तो हम सक्सेसफुल है।
मुझे ये बताइए कि रिएक्शन क्या मिलता है? क्या लोग अभी, कई बार ये होता है कि आप अ, किसी प्रॉब्लम के बारे में फ़िल्म बनाते हैं, एक रीजनल इलाके, एक ख़ास इलाके की प्रॉब्लम को, और कई बार लोग जो है वो उसको सिंपली तुरंत एक्सेप्ट नहीं करते, रिजेंटमेंट होता है, वो आपको नकारने की कोशिश करते हैं। तो क्या जब ये फ़िल्म बनी और इसको दिखाया गया, तो क्या इस तरह की भी रिएक्शन आई कि नहीं, नहीं ऐसी बात नहीं है, आप तो कुछ ज़्यादा ही दिखा रही हैं ये?
सी अभी ये चीज तो जो लोग ये खुद कर रहे हैं, राइट। अगर वो वेस्ट कर रहे हैं या पोल्यूट कर रहे हैं, उनके लिए तो ये फिल्म अच्छी नहीं है। दे विल से कि ये क्या बना दिया, ऐसा तो कुछ नहीं है, पंजाब का हालत ऐसा नहीं है। अगर हम कुछ कुछ चंद लोगों की बात करें पंजाब में जो ऑलरेडी ये चीजें कर रहे हैं, जैसे जैसे हमने मैंने और प्रभ ने, हम जब शूट कर रहे तो हमने देखा कि इंडस्ट्रियल वेस्ट कितना जा रहा है रिवर में। अगर हम उन इंडस्ट्री वालों को जाके दिखाए ये फिल्म, उनके लिए ये है पंजाब की हालत, दे ऑब्वियसली दे विल से नो, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है, हम तो ऐसा नहीं करते। तो लोगों को समझने के लिए टाइम लगेगा, जब तक उनमें उनके घर में प्रॉब्लम नहीं आएगी मुझे नहीं लगता कि एवरीबडी विल अंडरस्टैंड दिस प्रॉब्लम, राइट। तो
सो
ये है।
मैं पूछा, ये जानना चाह रहा हूँ कि क्या ऐसा कुछ सुनने को मिला आपको, ऐसा कुछ देखने को मिला क्या? लोगों ने कहा नहीं, आप तो उसको थोड़ा एक्सोजरेट करके दिखा रही, जरूरत से ज्यादा बढ़ा चढ़ा के दिखा रही है, क्योंकि आजकल ये प्रॉब्लम है कि छोटी छोटी बातें लग जाती हैं लोगों को।
नहीं, एज सच ऐसा कुछ नहीं मुझे अभी तक सुनने को मिला। मेरे पीछे मतलब होगा, मुझे मेरे फ्रंट पे कुछ सुनने को नहीं मिला।
ग्रेट, ग्रेट, ग्रेट। फिर तो ये इस फिल्म की सफलता कही जाएगी कि अगर लोग इसको एक्सेप्ट कर रहे हैं, जो
या
प्रॉब्लम्स आप दिखाने की कोशिश कर रही हैं।
राइट।
रोमिला, या हाँ, आप कुछ कह रही थी? विनीता, आप कुछ कह रही थी?
नहीं, मैं बस हेलो, कैन यू हियर मी?
जी जी, या।
जी, मैं बस यही कह रही थी कि हमारा जो हमने ये नहीं सोचा था कि कोई इसको कैसे लेगा फिल्म को। हमारा जो मोटिव था, जो हमारा जब हम फिल्म बनाना शुरू कर रहे थे, तो हमारा मोटिव यही था कि हम पंजाब के लोगों को अवेयर करें कि पानी की प्रॉब्लम, पानी की दिक्कतें कितनी ज्यादा है पंजाब में। तो यही हमारा मोटो था। और अगर हमारी फिल्म देख के कोई लोग इस चीज को समझते हैं, तो हमारा वो मोटिव जो है सक्सेसफुल हो जाता है। यस।
ओके, रोमिला, नाउ let's talk in a wider sense. पंजाब से बाहर निकलते हैं. The water problem is happening everywhere, and you both, Prabjot and Romila, you are in Canada for such a long time. Are you seeing these kind of problems in every part of the world, or ये केवल it's happening in India only?
Nay, absolutely. Very good question. Thank you for asking me that. It's a global problem. We all know it's not just India, it is everywhere. So, in Canada, also, you might think, Canada में क्या problem है पानी की? लेकिन यहाँ के the indigenous community, the First Nations, as they are called, their communities are suffering really badly. They do not have access to clean drinking water, or they do not even have access to water. So they go out
this
and get
this
it
is a
from there.
this is a big news, kind
It
of
is a big news.
revelation,
Yes.
for me, कि मैं सोच नहीं सकता था। मेरे लिए तो जो भारत से बाहर सब बहुत खूबसूरत सा है, और कनाडा जैसे मुल्क में तो पानी की प्रॉब्लम होनी ही नहीं चाहिए।
नहीं चाहिए, हाँ। यहाँ
जी
फ्रेश वाटर जिस तादाद में है, जिस
जी, बिल्कुल।
वॉल्यूम में है, लेकिन वही मैनेजमेंट की प्रॉब्लम्स हो जाती हैं. So the indigenous communities are mostly isolated and they are grouped together, and still they do not. And they are the ones who have lived in Canada for longest time. They've been here since centuries, and they are the ones who are suffering. So it's a big deal now in Canada, talking about indigenous water crisis. And also going beyond Canada, there's in Africa, especially the Sahel region in Africa, is completely dry. We know that desertification is a huge problem in that area. So I've been working on Trans Africa pipeline, which is creating an 8,000 kilometer pipeline across the Sahel region, um, and spanning around 11 countries, setting up desalination plants. So we just signed a memorandum of understanding with Mauritania to set up desalination station and running a pipeline across. It'll take a lot of time. So there are different solutions to different parts of the world. But as you asked, yes, the crisis is everywhere. Even countries like, as I said, Canada and in the Amazon, like you name it, it's
Yeah.
everywhere.
So you said that you had just signed a MOU with Mauritania now. So
Yes.
what is the situation of water in those regions? Is the fresh water available, or the fresh water is really very in a very limited volume?
Yes, so it's the same. So if you visualize the Sahel region, which is just south of Sahara, and these
Hmm.
are countries like Mauritania, Senegal,
Yeah.
Nigeria, Chad,
Yes.
Sudan, Eritrea, Djibouti, all these countries. What is happening? The Lake Chad has shrunk
Yes.
completely past
Hmm.
40, 50 years, and
Hmm.
that seems to be the process. Whether it's Aral Sea in Central Asia, it's everywhere the same story. The river systems have dried up, they have become very polluted. Niger River is having some huge issues. So there are surface water. I don't think we should tap into groundwater anywhere in the world. It's basically withdrawing very fast, and a big volume of groundwater should not be tapped. So in countries like Sahel region countries, the only solution left is using desalinated water. So going to the ocean, cleaning up the water, taking the salt out, and supplying that region with desalinated water. So that in itself is very expensive. So
So
countries,
yes, yes. I was just coming to
yeah,
that only question, that dissemination is such a expensive affair.
yes,
If we can have something which is very cost effective, then I think that the world can come over of this fresh water problem, because we have water
yes.
everywhere, but this most of them is sea water, salty one.
And Sabyasachi, there is also this underlying problem that we have this false sense of security that, oh, we have the ocean water. And I
Yes.
don't want people to get into that mindset without addressing the surface water, groundwater issues, right? So desalination should be our last and only choice and in areas where you really need them. In Middle Eastern countries uses the most. 60% of desalination is used in Middle Eastern countries, around
Yeah.
35% in the US, and then 5 or 10% around the world. So
Yeah.
desalination should not be the solution, ultimate solution, because it is very energy intensive. It's very expensive. Not every country can afford it. So we
Yes.
have to fix what we have done rather than just going from one. So it's a very colonizing mindset. So we have to decolonize our mind, our systems. We have to redefine how we look at development. What does development mean? Right, what are the different ways that we can look at the system on a more holistic, interconnected way?
Yeah.
And that's what
Yeah.
regenerative system is all about, is going back to how
Romila,
the world. Yes,
you were talking about the development. I remember yesterday we were having discussion with Dr. Swet Kumar Das on the Mahanadi River, and he was also saying that development, yes, we need development, but what kind of development and for whom?
yes,
When the fishermen are dying, then for what kind of development we are talking? So
absolutely.
now, so now I'm wanted to know something related to this. One of our core issue, core thing which we are now asking, or we started in CMS Vatavaran, we thought of talking about, is regarding climate change, and how it's im- it's impacting the gender issues. Uh, what one question which we are asking now with everyone, like, is climate change a gender issue? And as we are here, all these three, you all three are women. So I'm asking this same question to you: is climate change or a whatever the problem which we are suffering, isn't it a gender issue also? What do you think? How women are affecting from these things, the water problem and the climate change and other environmental issues? What are your takes into it?
I want to kind of give a word of caution here. Climate change is a human
Yeah.
issue, right? I would
Yeah.
human and nature issue, because nature
Yes.
is equally suffering. So instead
Yes.
of siloing it into different, like gender versus environment, this versus that, I would say, but the serious damage is done to women as well, because in
Yes.
being in the field of water, I want to point out two things. Number
Yes.
one, when we talk about climate, what is climate? Climate is nothing but the movement of water from one place to another. That's what climate is, controlled by temperature. right? That's climate. So we need to shift our narrative away from climate change, which has become very political, very kind of very energy focused sector. That's all. We connect climate change to energy, right? But there are different aspects. There's loss of biodiversity, there's inequity, there's gender issues involved with that. So when we talk about climate, we have to say it's basically hydrological cycle. That's what climate is. So how is it connected to gender? Because
Yes.
women are the ones and girls are the ones responsible for fetching water for their families. That would be the one thing that will have a huge impact. So just to reiterate what I said, two things: climate should be now moved away towards hydrological cycle. We should talk about water when we talk about climate, and the impact it will have not just on women, but the inequity it exposes in our system. So people who do not have access to piped water will suffer more and more. So that's my thought
Yep.
about climate change and gender issues.
Okay. Prabjot, your take.
I completely agree with that. And in the case of Punjab, we have seen how, and we even went to Rajasthan, and we saw how women and these young girls are actually fetching water, and they have to travel long distance. So with climate change, um, obviously it's going to impact the rainfall, the average annual rainfall, and so the whole situation, and we already have less water, though it's called Punjab, which means the land of five rivers, with less rainfall, with climate change. If we don't put our acts together now, then it's our future generation that's going to suffer, and not just one gender, I would say everyone, and not just in Punjab but everywhere across the globe. And you might have heard the story of Cape Town that went to day zero. And
Yes.
if we don't act now, then it will be everywhere where we may see day zero.
विनीता, आपका क्या कहना है? किस तरह से ये जो सारी चीज़ें, चाहे वो पानी की प्रॉब्लम हो, चाहे वो एक क्लाइमेट चेंज और ग्लोबल वार्मिंग हम अपने आसपास देख रहे हैं, हाउ इट्स इफेक्टिंग जेंडर, वुमेन, गर्ल्स? आप म्यूट है आप? यस प्लीज, म्यूट है आप?
Hello, can you hear me?
जी, यस।
तो जैसे आई एम एग्री विद प्रॉप, जैसे राजस्थान की एक एग्जांपल है कि फीमेल्स को बहुत दूर जाना पड़ता है पानी भरने के लिए, तो ऑब्वियसली ये सबसे बिग इशू तो वो है कि पानी भरने के लिए उनको इतना दूर ट्रेवल करना पड़ता है। और सेकंड थिंग, आजकल जो चेंजेस आ रहे हैं वुमेन की बॉडी में ड्यू टू वाटर इश्यूज, मतलब वाटर प्रॉब्लम्स, पानी में इतना ज्यादा व्हाट वी कॉल इट डॉक्टर रोमिला आर्सेनिक, राइट? तो उसकी वजह से जो प्रॉब्लम आ रही है वुमेन की बॉडी में, तो वो हमें कहीं ना कहीं ये फ्यूचर में प्रॉब्लम्स और ज्यादा बढ़ेंगी, हार्मोनल चेंजेस होंगे पानी की वजह से, बहुत सारी और अदर इश्यूज होंगे जिसकी वजह से प्रॉब्लम्स ज्यादा बढ़ेंगी।
जी, ठीक है। नाउ कमिंग बैक टू Prab, to you. Like now, we had this water be dammed, and the documentary is completed. What next? What is your next plan? What's
Next
coming next?
Next plan is to go back again, because we just cannot abandon the villages where we have held our health camps, where we actually collected the data. But now it will be in collaboration with the government, in collaboration with the local social activists, so that we can actually do something. So our now next challenge will be to actually getting something done. At least for our pilot project villages, villages like Arnetu, villages like Lera Gaga, Hamchedi. So it's our goal now is to actually do something. We cannot solve the water crisis of these specific areas overnight, but we can certainly do something. So people don't have to drink the contaminated water. And back in 2016, when we did our third study, we actually found that there are some reverse osmosis systems available in schools, but the filtration system, the membrane, I don't think was ever changed. So
Okay.
goal is to get that changed. So at least the kids can drink safe water.
Mhm.
And it all starts with awareness, and all starts with the governing body. So I think our next step will be to approach them.
Okay. Uh, Thanks. Uh, Dr. Ramila, what next? What is your next project?
Um, Currently, I'm working in another documentary based in Malawi.
Mhm.
So we collaborated with Call to the Mothers, which look at gender-based violence and how to help women go through the emotional stress that they face. So we have created a workshop. It's called A Sense of Wonderland. So the Wonderland experience is looking at trauma of how women are facing in that village, and then grieving for that trauma. And then the third step is looking at different solutions on what they can do to create wonder gardens, if they have any talent, like crocheting or knitting or sewing, how they can utilize it to empower themselves. So that's happening currently in Malawi. So I'm working on finalizing a short documentary on that, on the process of Taste of Wonderland. So that's my next project that's unfolding. And the other one that I'm looking towards is the Indo-Gangetic Plain. So I'm looking at River Ganga and the healing of River Ganga through the spiritual lens. So
Wow.
that is an unfolding project. We haven't really gone deeper into that, but that's my second project.
Wow, wonderful. I will be eagerly waiting for both of the the documentary, or it's really very fantastic
Thank
subject
you.
you mentioned. विनीता, नेक्स्ट में क्या आगे क्या है?
तो जैसे यू सेड बल्ले बल्ले से इतना सीरियस इशू पे मैं जंप हुई, राइट? तो
हाँ, हाँ।
ऐसा नहीं है, पंजाबीज एक जैसे नहीं होते जैसे फिल्म्स में दिखाया जाता है, पंजाबीज ऑलवेज डूइंग दिस बल्ले बल्ले थिंग, दे आर serious person too. So after this documentary and pandemic, I have started my own channel. It's called VCR. It's Punjabi
Okay.
YouTube channel. It's video
Okay.
content reality. So I have done
Hmm.
almost 140 positive stories,
Wow.
short documentaries on, you can see on my channel. So yes,
Hmm.
I'm doing that. और मैं like मेरा जो मोटो है अभी इस चैनल को लेकर कि जितने
Hmm.
भी पंजाब में लोग पॉजिटिव काम कर रहे हैं, या वो इन्वायरमेंट को लेके हो या किसी भी इश्यूज को लेके हो, तो उसको मैं दिखाना चाहती हूँ, क्योंकि आई रियली वांटेड टू सेट ए एग्जाम्पल,
Hmm.
राइट? कि हम पहले कुछ दिखाएं, फिर कहें कि फॉर अ चेंज, राइट? कि पहले हम खुद से शुरू करें। तो यस, आई एम डूइंग दैट। और नेक्स्ट जो है हम करेंगे कुछ, डॉक्टर उर्मिला, प्रभ और मैं, कुछ जल्दी, विल सी, राइट?
Yeah, we will wait for that announcement.
यस,
Uh, yeah. Thank you very much. It was really wonderful talking to all three of you. And Prab से तो
थैंक
मैं पहली बार बात कर रहा हूँ. So Prab, it was really wonderful talking to you. Uh, you are full of energy. Wow. And Dr. Romila Verma is, I must say you are a visionary, and you come up with a very unique project. I
Thank
remember
you.
we were discussing about few of your workshops which you were thinking of, and we thought of doing it online and then offline. We hope to do it in near future very soon.
Thank you.
uh, Thank you विनीता for being part of the discussion. आपकी फिल्म, आपने बहुत अच्छी फिल्म बनाई है, मुझे भी it was eye opener for me, and not for me,
Thank
all
you.
these the jury members who watched this film. और I thank you very much all of you. आप तीनों का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. Thank you to being a part of this discussion, and Dr. Romila and Prab joining from Canada. I know it's very early morning there, 6:30 or 7 o'clock, something like that. So thank you very much. Sorry for waking you both of you so
Not at
early.
all. No, it was a pleasure. It was absolutely an honor to be here. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you, Vinita. Thank you.
थैंक यू सब सर।
Friends, this was Vanita Khanna Dr. Romila Verma and Prabjot Kainth. We were talking about their documentary, wonderful documentary, Water Be Damned, which is on the water problem happening in Satluj River in Punjab, which you can watch till 23rd of April on the India Science OTT channel powered by the Vigyan Prasar, an autonomous body of Department of Science and Technology, Government of India. And every day from 4 to 5, yeah, we will be coming with these kind of enlightened filmmakers working in on a very different kind and very challenging subjects. Apart from that, we will be talking to few other very wonderful people working in the environment sector, working in the decision making sector, working in the other different part of different way. So please uh, join these programs. You can have a whole list on our website www.vatavaran.org. You can go there, you can see the program list there in program section. And I must say that on 23rd, uh, at 11 o'clock in the 11 o'clock am morning, we will be having the live online 11th CMS Vatavaran Film Festival and Forum Award Ceremony. So do join us. We will be giving the link to join the award ceremony on our website. So thank you very much to be being with us, and please join me again tomorrow. And at the end of the session, I really want to express my gratitude to all our program partners, India Science, Vigyan Prasar, uh, MUFCC, Government of India, Pollution Control Board, Government of Haryana, Haryana Forest Department, Canadian High Commission in India, NABARD, uh, Chitkara University, IUCNCEC, Green Film Network, all our CMS Vatavaran team members who are working effortlessly day and night. Thank you to all of them. Due to all your cooperation, we are having the 11th CMS Vatavaran Film Festival and Forum on hybrid mode. So do join us tomorrow. This will at 4 p.m. here only. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Good night, friends.